What it is, YouTube? It's your boy DC coming back with another bullseye of a tutorial here today on the channel. I wanted to do an in-depth, mix, breakdown about Kanye West's album 808 and Heartbreaks. I think Kanye West is a very important artist, and I also like the way that this project was mixed. So today I wanted to give out a free FLP, a free Fruity Loops project file, and deep dive into it and talk about some of the things I noticed in that project. So if you guys like this type of content, like, comment, and subscribe. Also down below, you like FL Studio, let me know so I can keep these FL Studio videos going. I'm kind of going through a phase right now where I don't like Pro Tools. All right? And I'm just fucking with FL Studio, okay? So that's how I'm feeling lately, all right? So yeah, the album that I'm breaking down, I'm talking about, is gonna be Kanye West 808 and Heartbreaks. A really dope album, especially when it comes to the production. I know that with rap music, at this time in the year 2008, auto-tune wasn't even like a crazy thing that was being used like that. It was just like an effect for maybe some pop stuff, but Kanye West really pushed the boundaries, because nowadays in rap music, auto-tune is the bare minimum standard. Like, everybody want auto-tune on their stuff, but there was a time when it wasn't like that. And that's why I like this project, and I think this album is important because it shows you how ambitious Kanye was, even using the 808s too, because back in the day, they would use different types of basses, like synthesizer basses and stuff, but the specific 808, like Kanye really pushed the boundaries of like the actual 808 sound, the 808, machines and shit. So yeah, I know Manny Marqueen mixed this thing. So the first thing I want to talk about is the bass. You feel me? I love the bass on a song, especially like Say You Will, and also Amazing as well. Like these are like these real dope bass tones that just feel so warm and round, and that's kind of like the theme of Kanye's low end on this whole project. Is like the basses were so punchy and so thick, you feel me, but quick at the same time. So I would use something like a pull tech specifically. I just like how the pull tech is gonna give some density regardless, because it has the tube input and everything. And I know that a real hardware pull tech is actually like a passive a thing, so I don't think it actually has like a power cord for you to actually genuinely plug it in. It's using like passive filters and stuff like that, something along the lines of that. But most importantly, I just love the actual shape of the pull tech when it comes to that low shelf. It really helps make the booty really round, you feel me, like a Dr. Miami type of surgeon. It helps make the booty, the 808, the bass have curves, you feel me, the right type of thickness and shape, right? And I'm just talking about the 808, all right? So keep your head on right, little nigga. Okay, boom. After that, I will use the Manny M distortion, you feel me? And I like this plugin a lot because people oftentimes forget how EQ, the signal that's going into the distortion circuit, can actually affect the way the distortion sounds. Like what different parts are you emphasizing, and I like how it lets me pick between the bass, the mid-range, and the treble, you feel me, kind of like a tilt filter type of shelving type of thing as you're driving into this. So the preset I would use is something like distorted bass, but a plugin like this is great for adding more. I would say distortion is helpful for presence, especially when you blend it in at a very low amount. You can't really see it right now, but if I was blending it in on an 808, I'd put it like in the single digits, like 5, 6, 7, and just blending a little bit of that in kind of gives not only more fullness, but also more presence and articulation to the bass neck line, you feel me, for the 808s and stuff like that. So Kanye is using these 808s, boom, 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 and I feel like something like a Manny distortion would really help it out, especially on a song like Street Lights as well. I like that song a lot. I like all the songs here, but I would say for sure, like Heartless is a dope ass song, bro, because like it just has some type of great momentum to it that I like a lot. And I feel like Manny Marqueen is a great engineer too, because even if he's working with a short bass or a long bass, which Kanye uses a combination of both of them, shorter 808s and longer 808s, he really like knows how to squeeze every single drop out of the lemon, as he's making the lemonade. So that would bring me to a plugin like the CLA bass. You feel me? This is a dope plugin too, because you get so many different options to get that creative bass sound. You know what I mean? A lot of the times, sometimes people are using 808s and they kind of all sound the same. So that's where maybe a mixing engineer can, pull out a different tone that you might have not even known was in the 808. So I like a plugin like this that gives a little parallel compression, a little bit of treble, and a little bit of the distortion and the chorusing and the pitching is really dope to actually widen up the bass. Because if you got so many fat people in the living room gonna get hot. If you ever been around a bunch of people in a room, if you pack the middle too much, it's gonna become a little bit too hard to hear everything. So that's a great thing too with Kanye's album right here. Another great song I like too is like "Welcome to Heartbreak," featuring Kid Cudi. And bro, Kid Cudi's such a dope ass musician too. But the great thing about a song like that is I just like the boom boom, like the punch behind the kick and everything. So I would use a plugin like Neutron 4, a transient shaper, and I like this because it gives different types of transient designing algorithms, right? And maybe a guy like Kanye, I'd probably put it on the loose algorithm because it gives a little bit more of that swinging type of feeling, right? In FL Studio, you might go on there and play with the kick, and you might just have it like what is it called like that? I'm just not getting back into FL, but where you can kind of like slightly delay the kick to give it kind of like a lazy drunk at the bar type of sound. Yeah, drunk man swing. I feel like a transient designer is dope for that too. Or you could just use the actual swing on FL Studio too, like the actual swing shit. All right. So after that, I would use something like a DBX 160, and I really did enjoy how on this album, there was a nice snappiness to the percussive elements. Even the first song with like kind of like the bongos and everything like that. I love how Manny Marqueen, he really shapes everything. Kanye picks the right sounds, he picks the right vegetables, broccoli and lettuce. But then Manny, being the engineer, he's like the chef who's going in there and cutting up the carrots and cutting up all the vegetables and blending it together to make that final dish, which is the album. So the DBX 160 is what I would select for my kick, and I would parallel it and use it maybe like somewhere around like the 10 to 15%. And just because it's squashed, it's just gonna add more emphasis to that mid range, making the kicks kind of swell up even more, like some like you got an allergic reaction or some shit. Now your lips swell up. That's what I want. When it comes to stuff like snares, I liked a lot how Kanye kind of mixes like thick thick snares and skinny snares to kind of get like a nice texture. So I would use something like the tone shaper to try to recreate that effect with Kanye. And these are just a bunch of chains from Manny Marqueen, parallel compression chains that you can kind of play around with to make a sound have more density. This is what I always talk about. When you want bigger legs, you want a bigger you know bigger hamstrings, bigger chest, bigger shoulders. It's kind of like you get to selectively pick, kind of like when you're working out, what you want to grow type shit. You feel me? And then after that, for the hi-hats, I'll use something like H comp just because it kind of has the analog option, and it has a transient designer and compressor together. So as I'm compressing, I might lose some transients. I can add it back using this plugin. So you guys are gonna be able to get this FLP for free in the link down below, so you'll see it. And then a very important thing to think about too is like the fact that Manny Marqueen, as he was mixing Kanye's 808s and Heartbreaks, is working on an SSLE console. And of course, he's got that SSL bus compressor. Some people like to throw it on the master fader. Other times, some engineers might like to throw it on just the drum bus. So that's something that I would use here too. And it's very interesting because there's like a transient enhancement quality of the SSL that kind of gives it that punch. It just gives it the punchy type of sound. And I feel like that comes from the transformer too. So I would turn on the analog, and because all of these drums are going into that bus, beep, 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 like we in the morning, some jits going to school type shit, because all of these drums are going to the bus and they all getting some of that transformer love. In general, that's gonna just like juicing up and thicken up all the instruments, which is like all the kids that are coming into that bus. You feel me? So yeah, the slowest attack is always good on your drum bus because you want all of your transients to come through. You feel me? And the fastest release, something like that, is usually dependent on the groove that you want for the drums. You know what I mean? Imagine the drums are like a tango dancer. You feel me? Sometimes a tango dancer, they might dance fast, they might dance slow. Sometimes a ballerina, they might dance fast, they might dance slow. So imagine that the release time on your drum bus compressor, right? If you do want to compress your drums, or in general, is the groove. It's the groove, the way it's moving. So imagine it like that. And the harder the ratio gets, the harder the knee gets. So that's why a 4-to-1 ratio is always great. And of course, that FL Studio Clipper, that's gonna make that motherfucker smack every time. All right. So another great plugin that I would use to, get that Kanye West 808 Heartbreak sound is the Manny Marquin EQ. Like on Heartless, in the night, and then explode the green star. You feel me? All that shit, bruh. I love how the keys sound. They have an expensive type of sound to it. And a plugin like this is great because you get access to a little bit of that mag EQ. You get access to the collection of Manny Marquin's, analog EQs that he uses, but it's in all one plugin. So yeah, I would just use this mostly to get a crack of that mag EQ to get that really airy, crystally, like we in a cave with diamonds in the fucking top type of crystally brightness type of sound to like a piano type shit. And of course the Many M reverb. So sometimes you could get your brightness from the EQ, but also, your reverb can be the reason why you're getting brightness. I'd pick something like Bright Space and parallel blend it. Because if the higher frequencies are being reverberated, it makes it more obvious that something is bright. So always think about that too. You can balance between your EQ, and the reverb, because there comes a point where you keep boosting EQ, you keep boosting and boosting and boosting EQ, and it becomes harsh. So that's kind of how I learned to mix. Like I'll do as much as I can with the EQ, right? And then eventually I'll bring in like something like maybe like a bright compressor or a bright reverb, and then over time as I started to learn more and more about mixing, I started to learn how to ration everything, so like now I might do like half or I might do a third. Like I might have a bright EQ, then a bright compressor, then a bright reverb. All those things together are adding the sugar rather than to take just the white cane sugar and dump it all into the drink. I'll blend some fruits in there, you feel me? I'll blend some strawberries or oranges or different things that can bring the flavor without using only one ingredient, you feel me, type shit. So boom, with the pads, they sound so good. I would only use something like a SSLE, kind of like Manny Marquin used on this project to mix it. And then of course, if I needed some more warmth to the low mid, because some songs on this project like Paranoid and also The Coldest Winter, they have like this great warm, really like Valentine's Day type of warm fireplace type of warmth to them. So I would use a plugin like Spectre, and I use the warm mode to add that coziness, that density. Imagine when you hugging somebody you love, there's a warmth, there's a feeling of weight as you're holding them, and that's what you want to like emotionally recreate as an engineer. Boom. All right. And then the horns, of course, I seen Mixed by Ali do this, but I would apply the same technique. I would use a Blueface, a CLA 76 on the horns. Even like other Kanye songs, like All of the Lights and shit like that, the horns always, dun, 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 dun. They always have like a great type of presence to them. And I know something like a CLA 76, the fact that they got transformers in it, you know what I mean? And the transistors in it too, the field effect transistors. That's the FET, component. I know that's gonna be bringing a 10K crack, to this. So, that's why a lot of times people like using a CLA 76 on a vocal, because a vocal mostly consists of mid-range, and you want to help that mid-range come through so it can be full and forward. So that's why a lot of people pick a CLA 76, not just because the name or something like that, because it actually it does a fucking good job at what it does. That's why people use it and model it. It works, It's a fork. If you want to eat soup, you're going to use a spoon because the spoon is the best tool to eat some goddamn soup. You feel me? All right, so the auto tune, of course, I'd use this one because this one just sounds more natural to me. But if you do have like maybe like the Antares or whatever, you could put it in classic mode, and that will help you get that Kanye sound. On this project, Kanye has a lot of dark vocals, a lot of like rock and roll type of amp and really like distorted, kind of like he inspired Travis Scott to be who he is today type of sound. I'd use on the vocal chain though to wrap this up. I use the Manny Marquin EQ. I use this a lot, and I just love the filter, the sound of the filter, and like this is just a really dope EQ that brings a great tonal balance to a vocal, and it also just sounds expensive. It don't sound like that cheap Dollar Tree EQ. It sounds like that real expensive. You feel me? I ordered that shit from Amazon, next day shipping. You feel me? It came in a goddamn golden box type of sound type shit. All right. And then I'll use the SSL bus compressor on Kanye's voice, because Kanye's voice is mostly like mid-range focused and he likes to sing a lot. And I know this plugin off rip, if you run some volume through it, some vocal through it, it has like a way of just rounding off the top, that glue smooth sound, C4, we already know that what that type of stuff does, but I use the SSL channel script on Kanye's vocal too. And just to enhance some of the sharpness of the distortion, I'd use a little bit of the board compression, you know. So yeah, and then the many, effects like the delay and the reverb. And then the master bus, I'd probably keep it simple, to get that Kanye sound, the old Kanye, you feel me? I would just use something like the SSL bus compressor because it works well, And if sometimes what I'll do is I'll let the bus compressor on the drums have the transformer and not the rest of the whole mix, because it might makes the whole mix sound too swelled up and a little too fat, like it got to go on a diet. And then use that Manny EQ on the master fader and the L2, because that's what them boys had back in the day. But pretty much, that's everything here today, that I want to talk about. I've been doing more FL Studio content. So if you guys do want to see more like videos like this or more albums, drop it down below. Let me know what y'all want to see. And you'll get the link down below for this, FLP if y'all want to get it. I hope y'all learned a lot. And I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Appreciate y'all now. Peace.